like this is happening. Like I'm gonna get away with this, and it seems like it's going my way. And in his mind, he thought, "Oh, this is they're buying this story." Even though us, the audience, watching the police video, can obviously tell that the police officer and everyone else there was not, they were not buying it. But I think he thought that that's what that he was gonna get away with it. But now that that thought's gonna be slapped out of him, like not physically, but you'll see his demeanor and his face. So yeah, so just try to look at him. Keep an eye on Chris here.
Some of the tools that I had from the toolbox. I knew I was going to have to do some pumping into rubbers today.
Keep in mind, this is just 12 hours later. He's now watching himself, for the first time, cover up his murders, with a police officer watching along with him. He's about to shit himself.
That's what I was out so far.
Is this on continually
Yep.
recording?
Notice Chris's nervous gulp as Officer Coonrod confirms his interest in the footage. Notice his face is getting shiny with sweat.
Yep. Well,
It's not, is it motion or is it,
event,
okay, so it's motion.
any motion event that happens, but I get cars driving from this street, and this is him at 517.
Chris is burying his head into his phone to mentally escape where he is right now. Yes, it's likely he's texting his mistress girlfriend to keep himself distracted. Also, notice how close he's holding his phone to his body. Very defensive body language, which actually increases the likelihood he's texting his secret mistress.
I usually park out there on the side. I just want to get everything back in. Be easier, so lugging everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in.
Constant defending and explaining implies guilt. Notice how he looked completely away from the TV to the door with a deep breath. But what does that all mean? Many things. First thing, he doesn't like what he sees on the screen. Now, this may sound too simple, but it's true. We look away from things we don't like, and we look at things we do like. This includes automobiles, homes, jewelry, and even security footage. Second, the fact that he looked all the way around to the front door shows that he wants to get out of there. Third, very deep breath. Fight or flight instinctual defense mechanism kicked in. This naturally happens when we feel threatened. Our body's heart rate increases quickly in preparation for a fight or to run away. Now, Chris puts his hands on top of his head in an attempt to calm down so he can appear less nervous. Have you ever seen a marathon runner strike this pose when they cross the finish line? It's to open up the airways to allow for maximum airflow to calm their heart rate down. Chris is doing this to reduce his signs of nervousness. Even someone as dumb as Chris knows he can't show how nervous he really is when watching himself act suspicious on the security footage, because that's a huge red flag he's guilty. Now, swaying back and forth in nervousness while watching himself pull his truck partway into the garage, which was, of course, to create cover for loading his family's bodies into his truck. Notice his lips are tightly pursed, which indicates withholding the truth.
So maybe he didn't. I think so. I guess he did know that his neighbor's camera was on and that it was recording him. So that is interesting right there. I think I said at the beginning of the video, at the beginning of this video when we ended the previous one, that there was that I guess he didn't know about that camera. Seems like he did know, and he parked the truck in a certain way so that the camera couldn't pick up what he was loading into the truck. So that makes him even more cold-blooded. It's crazy.
His heart rate here is so high due to nervousness, he felt the need to hold at least one hand over his head at all times. His nervous swaying back and forth is so over the top. It's like he's slow dancing with himself. Now he's looking away, thinking of something in a blank stare. I like to think he's wondering whether or not he'll ever be allowed conjugal visits, or if it's just gonna be Bubba. What do you think Chris is thinking about? The length of silence here says so much. Because what do you say when you're watching a likely murderer watch himself cover up his murders which were committed that morning?
Because if there was any sort of action out
I know
there,
his camera's
I
like,
would have got it.
like
Right.
he had
Sunglasses fall because the sweat that formed on his head reduced friction for them to stay up. Also,
He went from cool and collective and thinking that he had the whole situation under control. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The last thing that he thought was that his neighbor was going to get involved. Like, I think that, again, he really thought that he was going to get away with it way before that officer called him. I think he thought he was a free man and that's it. He had committed the crime and he was never going to get caught, and he was going to live the rest of his life with the side chick and that whole thing. And we can, like, the last 2 or 3 minutes since he entered this neighbor's house, it has just been the downfall of this person. And just seeing, again, from a cool and collective demeanor, now we're reduced to whatever the sack of nerves is. I mean, you can tell the sweat on his forehead. Again, the way he was holding his hands on his head, he was moving, swaying side to side. Yeah. He knows now, or he's in the he fucked around. He's in the found out stage now. Like, he's finding out that it's not necessarily the way he thought it was going to be. Moving on.
incredible nervousness caused him to be less spatially aware.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that, and I had parked my truck
I
up
had
here.
to park right here.
Yeah.
This is a typical sign of a liar, which is diverting. When a liar is being pressed on a key issue, they'll start to talk about other somewhat related things in great detail, which accomplishes two things. First, it makes the liar come across as open and honest because they're surrendering information. Second, they're able to avoid talking about the key issue in which they're guilty of or lying about.
So someone, I can see where someone tried to jimmy with a flathead screwdriver.
Chris is showing little to no interest in using Nate's camera to figure out where he can find Shanann and the kids. Chris is treating this as his time to defend himself.
Over there, and it was just like,
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I
yeah,
would
if it would have been like right in that area, they should have picked. I mean,
Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
you know where that tree there too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, unless they pulled right here,
Yeah.
but I would have caught her walking out.
Chris looks away completely in defeat because he knows all video evidence points to him.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
Coincidentally, how babies are born comes up on Nate's TV, and of course Chris seizes on that idea to make it appear he's concerned about the safety of his pregnant wife. Watch.
She's pregnant as well.
It's like he says what he thinks he should say based on what he saw in movies, not based on the empathy he feels or even could imagine feeling. Very typical of someone with antisocial personality disorder.
How far along?
14, 15 weeks.
I'm fast forwarding, but you can still see him sway back and forth with his lips sucked in and his arms folded in tightly to his body. That signals Chris is giving himself as much self-comfort as possible while standing.
So nothing, no cars came through because I guarantee with the headlights, it picks up the headlights automatically.
And my
I think meaning that at that point, I don't think he wanted that heat anymore on him. So he just he was just trying to divert the conversation into anything else. I think that's why he was talking about like the fact that Shanann was pregnant and that whole thing, because he just wanted to divert everyone from that, because you don't need that. But yeah, they didn't ask any further than he didn't ask anything else. Like I'm pretty sure that's the last thing he would have wanted to ask though.
evidence said that at 5:27 my garage door was left open.
Why is Chris now talking about a faulty garage door sensor? Yep, diversion.
It says it was shut during the day, but I think when Nikki's son, he may try to move the door around, maybe when they were trying to get in the garage
Right.
door, and it probably broke the laser there.
And what does that have anything to do with finding your pregnant wife and 2 kids? Yep, just diversion.
And our remote on the outside doesn't work anymore. It got wet.
Chris is trying everything he can to avoid talking about the real issue. How did they leave the house if the only way to leave the inside locked house was from the garage door that has a motion sensor camera on it? Obviously, he wants to stay far away from that topic.
The whole radio on the back.
So yeah, that was it.
All right. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Hopefully something comes up here.
If you just want to go talk to him, I'm going to get his info real quick.
Now we get to find out what neighbor Nate really thinks. Watch this.
No.
He's never fidgety. He's never rocking back and forth.
Apparently, Nate was doing a little body language evaluation on Chris during all of that.
He never loads his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
And it doesn't look like he came from right here. It looks like he came from down the street. And then the other thing that doesn't make sense is why would he pull past this part? You can see him pull past.
Are you able to record this?
Uh-huh. But watch, you'll see him get out. And he walks back and forth a couple times. To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? And that's pretty recently.
That's not the always calm and easygoing Chris he was leading everyone to believe.
It just seems kind of odd to me. Why would he pull the truck up into the garage? If he loads his stuff, he normally just walks back and forth, because I get him on camera.
What does he usually load up?
All he usually has is a lunchbox and a book bag, looks like a computer, and usually a water jug. That's it.
Yep, Nate was referring to Chris's baseline and how this morning's actions drastically deviated from that baseline.
He doesn't look worried. He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks. But I can't see what he's doing in the back of the truck because he pulled into the garage. And he knows my camera's there.
Yep, that's how Shanann and the kids left the house, and they know it.
Dude, shout out to those neighbors. I mean, that dude went above and beyond. And I think that it was extremely crucial to the case. What he did. And I mean, let's not forget that he did it in front of Chris Watts. Like it's not like he called the cops later on and was like, "Oh, let me show you this." No, that dude brought him into his house. Hell yeah, win for those neighbors. He brought him into his house. Him and the cop. He's like, "I'm gonna bring you both in. Let's see the security camera," because he had already seen it. He was just gonna show them, "Oh, this is what I found." So, shout out to that neighbor, because we need more people like that would just jump on stuff like that, and yeah, just I guess you gotta be watchful. Gotta be mindful of things. Gotta be consistently like watching like your community and stuff like that. You never know. In that case, they lived in like suburbs and stuff. They all have cameras. So shout out to this. Shout out to this dude.
Kind of odd that he pulls his truck back behind my camera. The cutoff, the truck's in the garage right now. And he never backs his truck into the driveway ever. Hey, he's acting so suspicious. He's normally, you can ask them, he's normally quiet, real subdued. He's over here telling you 3 times what he took out, what he did. He's very, he never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious.
Yeah, but I mean, put yourself in his situation.
Oh, I agree.
You know, anyone's gonna be nervous. You don't know what to do.
Wait, did Officer Coonrod completely buy what Chris was saying? I think the officer was trying to not let on to anyone knowing that police think Chris is very guilty. Because police can't risk anyone knowing that they're onto him, since it may get back to Chris. If Chris feels they're after him, he may stop open dialogue with police, lawyer up, shut his mouth, and test his luck with the jury. Then what are the chances of finding Shanann and the girls? Yes, much smaller. Have you ever noticed police never aggressively accuse? They never say things like, everyone knows you're guilty, just admit it. Who would want to open up to someone like that? Law enforcement wants to come across as your friend, where they empathize with you, and sometimes even appearing to side with you, so you voluntarily share information with them. That's the most effective way for law enforcement to solve cases. Police quickly knew Chris Watts was guilty because his body language showed little to no interest in finding his wife and 2 little girls, and even came across as happy that they were gone, because sadly, that's what he wanted, a new life without a wife and kids. His nervous body language, especially watching his neighbor's security footage, also gave him away, because as much as he tried to hide it, it was obvious he was guilty and was scared of getting caught. Now in the comments, what do you think Chris Watts was thinking about when he was watching his neighbor's security footage? Let everyone know in the comments below. Give this video
Let everyone know in the comments below. Dude, that was fucking awesome.